I usually start these magazine videos off with a book from as early as 1842. However, the entirety of that bound collection that I have does not have the month of June. So we're going to go ahead and start with June of 1863. This is a book that you probably have seen a few times before if you've watched my other magazine reading videos, and this is Godey's Ladies book from 1863 bound together as a collection. So this first dress is a pearl-colored percale dress, stamped in tunic form to imitate rich embroidery in black. The design, reduced, is on the zouave and sleeves. The hat is of fine white straw trimmed with pearl color and black feathers and black velvet ribbon. Figure 2 is a dress of cuir, colored wool taffetas barred with black and a rich design woven as a bordering on the skirt. The design is also woven on the zouave and sleeves. White leghorn hat trimmed with black velvet, loops of white ribbon, and a single white feather. I do have to look up what that color is. Another pretty robe dress with sack to match, very suitable for traveling. The style of this dress is to be had in percales of neutral tints and in wool goods such as taffetas and alpacas. Figure 4, which I think this is my favorite of the whole bunch, is an organdy robe, a white ground with tiny red figures. The odd design of the flounces is of scarlet and black, the effect of which is charming in the original. Yeah, I think that one would be my personal pick. Then we have some new hairstyles with some beautiful flower head dressings woven through them. On the next page we have some crochet pictures. One is a crochet tidy for tray or bread cloth to be worked in middling fine cotton. This to me looks like filet crochet. And then we have a toilet mat in crochet, also looks like it's to be worked in filet crochet. Moving beyond the fashion plates in the 1863 book, we now go a little bit more into the fancy work sections. We already got a taste of it with the crochet charts in the front. We also have a carriage bag and canvas work, which looks really nice. I like this a lot. And then this one, I was considering potentially trying to knit this in today's video, but I don't think I could make heads or tails of the pattern at all. It's Mosaic Knitting for piano or sofa mat, and it's recommended that you make it in coarse wool and needles, and coarse at the time meant large. So very bulky needles and thread, and the stitch looks really cool, but from my issues where I was trying to knit from a pattern from this book last month, I don't think I could try making this. We're gonna say that it was really fun to look at this whole book, but I think we are going to move on to our next set of magazines, and these are 3 magazines closely set together in time, right around the turn of the century, and I'm very excited to go through those as they kind of weave a string through some athletic wear for June that you can see changing over a span of time. As you might have already guessed, we are now moving on from the Godey's Ladies magazine to a whole set of delineator magazines. We're starting with the June edition from 1892. The entire magazine is in black and white and has no colored in fashion plates, which is almost a little bit of a step back in time, especially in comparison to the 1840s Godey's Ladies book that had colored in fashion plates. There are many beautiful dresses and styles to look at, but I want to focus on some of the more unique ones that I found when going through this month. The first one is this ladies tennis toilet, which consists of a lady's costume and a Commodore cap. The costume, which is known as the outing dress, is in the present instance developed in Kersheets standard blue and white figured cotton twill in fast colors, with velvet and ragged lace for garniture. The Commodore cap is made of white cloth. The costume will develop beautifully for tennis, yachting, rowing, or mountain climbing. So I love how versatile this outfit is, but they depicted it as a particular tennis outfit. Something that we'll see in later editions is that they also speak of outfits for tennis and yachting and outings, but they're all different costumes for all those different activities. I do believe that women had very specific outfits, or a lot of change of outfits potentially, especially depending on your class. But it definitely also seems to me kind of like a selling tactic for Butterick to sell more of their sewing patterns, to have more specific outfits for different styles. We browse through some more fashion plates and we get to this interesting instance of the early 1890s where empire waist and empire style dresses become fashionable. I think it's a bit of a short period of time, but it does exist, and we do have an example here of the ladies' Josephine or Empire dress with Demi train. The dress is here pictured made of white wool delaine. The skirt has a belt back and is made with a Demi train. The body is in the short-waisted style of the Empire modes. It has a full low-necked back and fronts arranged upon high-necked lining portions that are adjusted by double bust darts, underarm and side back gores, and a curving center seam. And then moving past some more wonderful patterns for both ladies and children, we get to more of the fiber craft section, which is, once again, my favorite section in these magazines. In this edition, we get some patterns for tatting. This design in tatting for figures number 1 and 3, where 3 is kind of a close-up of the bottom portion of number 1. This is an edging, and I wonder what edging this would be applied to. It seems like a very deep or wide edging to me, so I wouldn't really imagine it on skirts. So I would imagine it maybe more on table runners or bedspread, something like that, although I am not 100% sure. Then we get to the art of knitting, and 1892 is the year where Butterick published The Art of Knitting as a separate book, as a compilation of all of the previous issues' knitting sections as one. I have not seen any of these patterns before, and that's because I think that this was published after The Art of Knitting as a book was published. So we have a football sweater, and this is good for very cold weather. The garment is the popular sweater worn by college men and athletes in their games and sports. And this looks like a very simple sweater, and maybe one that I would love to make at some point in the future, but I have a very, very long knitting queue, so we'll see if I ever get to that, to be honest. We also have some suspenders, as well as a lady's knitted square shawl, and a pattern for shawls, fascinators, clouds, so light airy things that you wrap around your shoulders or your head and face. And I do really like how this pattern looks, so this is a stitch that I might try a little bit later in the video. The next page has a lot of crocheting. We have a Crochet Fascinator. I also made a fascinator, but I knit it. Instead of knit suspenders, now we have crocheted suspenders, as well as a tennis belt, a lawn tennis belt. Or maybe the tennis belt will be what I crochet a little bit later. Let me get back to you on that. Let's see which one I try out. These earlier delineators are usually a little bit sparse in advertisements, although by the 1890s you can see there are quite a few advertisements. However, they're concentrated towards the back of the magazine, and it's not only for other people's products, but the delineator is advertising for itself, because they're advertising here for the book The Art of Crocheting, which is the counterpart to The Art of Knitting. Once again, a compilation of all the crochet patterns that they had published up to this point. That's another one that I would love to get my hands on, although it is also available for free online at archive.org. That's something that you can look up. Alright, so I think that is it for June of 1892. Let's move ahead only 6 years in the future to June of 1898. When you take a look at this issue of the Delineator from 1898, the first thing that might hit you is that we're actually seeing some color on the cover of this magazine. What's really exciting is that we are also getting not only a color cover, but some color fashion plates on the inside as well, with some wonderful stylish shirtwaists. Oh, these are wonderful. I love the blue polka dot one and the green. Those are wonderful. And once again, I really enjoy when I see these color plates. Not only the shirtwaists or the piece of clothing that they have pictured, but the colors of the items that coordinate with it. How would they coordinate the decorations on the hat or the tie, the belts, the skirts, everything like that. So I enjoy kind of seeing how they would put an outfit together with all the different colors as well. Then we get to some dressy afternoon toilets, and oh my goodness, if I could have one of the dresses, the red one on the right, I would love that. If it were in blue, it'd be even better, but the red is definitely striking. Now, what I really enjoy about these June numbers so far is that they seem to be very focused on being active outdoors, and you get a lot of styles in order to be active outdoors. We have fashions for cycling, and I know I'm a broken record at this point, but I am working on an entirely hand-knit 1890s bicycling ensemble. I have a playlist if you want to catch up to where I am right now, and I am continuing to work on that. These outfits are sewn outfits, and they all have wonderful descriptions, but I think I'm going to go into detail detail on these two lovely ladies that are riding in tandem because I just love that illustration. So in figure 5, we have the trimming of black soutache braid applied to the navy blue serge skirt is very ornamental and consists of 2 coiled rows applied at hem depth above the edge and arranged in upright coils at intervals. The skirt is of the divided order and is laid in pleats back and front. The shirt waist is cut from Bayadere striped blue and white zephyr gingham, and navy blue Windsor tie is worn with a standing linen collar. Her friend in the front of the bike is wearing a divided skirt developed in mixed gray covert cloth. The shirt waist is of red silk polka dotted in black. It has tucks in groups of 3 back and front and also in the shirt sleeves. A white linen standing collar and black satin 4-in-hand tie are worn. The belt is of black leather. That is a striking pair on a bike. On the next 2 pages we have far more outing outfits. On the left hand side is a full page of fashions for golfing. The polka dots are really standing out to me on this one, so I'll read the description of that ensemble. A stylish toilette is developed at figure number 11 by a combination of castor piqué, which is used for the skirt, and white piqué with red dots of which the waist is made. A white piqué collar stands at the neck and a red satin tie is worn with it. A red leather belt is preferred. Oh, and I lied. One more really stood out to me as well, which is number 12, is a royal blue Meltonette was used in the skirt. Black braid is plainly applied in 3 rows at the bottom. The shirt waist is cut from white lawn. The fronts are tucked and blouse over a white leather belt. A buff piqué puff scarf is worn with white linen collar. And then we have some very specific outfits on the right for being by the seaside, either yachting or bathing, or if you are going hiking, playing tennis, or playing croquet. So I want to focus on the tennis outfit because now we see how the tennis outfit style has developed over the last 6 years. We saw one outfit for tennis 6 years ago from 1892, and here we are in 1898. At once comfortable and attractive are the skirt and shirtwaist comprised in the toilet depicted. The skirt is developed in a blue cheviot and may be trimmed with black mohair braid in several rows. The shirtwaist is of blue and white checkered lawn. A black satin band bow is worn with a white linen standing collar. A gilt buckle clasps the black leather belt. So I feel like you can definitely see the differences in the silhouette between the years. You have much more blousing at the front, the skirt shape is different, your shoulders are slightly different, but you still have the same essence of the style. I'm going to move ahead a little bit to some more art of knitting. This month we have a lot of different laces. We have a dotted leaf or English point lace, a dotted leaf or English point lace insertion, so this is a set that can match, as well as crescent lace, which looks more like an edging lace than an insertion. We have a larger section for crochet, wheel decoration for the ends of a throw. We have picot lace, as well as a wide crochet lace. That is very wide crochet lace. 6 years later, we still have a lot of advertisements, but they are all concentrated in the back of the magazine. And one that I particularly enjoy is the Polypus knitter, Polypus. Not sure how to pronounce it. Light, strong, simple, and efficient. Impossible, you couldn't make that tidy in 15 minutes. Not in your way, Grandma, but even little May can do it with a Polypus knitter, which to me, from the illustration, looks like one of those loom knitters, which you can also get today. I will leave the June 1898 Delineator magazine copy right there, and we are going to move ahead in time by 6 years. You can see once again the next 6 years have brought some changes to the magazine and the way it looks. We now have a full color print on the cover, and I think this cover is especially beautiful. It looks very dreamy, someone cutting some roses off the bushes from her garden, probably for a lovely arrangement indoors. It looks just very summery. Really enjoy it. And we open up once again directly to a few advertisements and then to the fashions. Although these don't start with color fashion plates. So once again, the magazine is always evolving and changing. Though, of course, what I always find the most fascinating is the fact that we can kind of trace this one particular fashion through these sets of 12 years. So here we have another stylish costume for, it looks like, lawn tennis. So I kind of like being able to put up the earliest version, the 1892 version of the tennis outfit, through to 1898, and now finally 1904, and how that outfit has changed. I think you can really see how the silhouette changes, and this particular style is dull green linen with embroidery and bands of insertion for trimming. I really like the hat that goes along with it as well. It's really hard for me to pick and choose which outfits to show you in these magazines because I think that they're all absolutely stunning, but I've decided to focus on the ones that are a little bit more athletically geared. Here we have the 1904 bicycling toilet. So we have on the left-hand side a stylish costume for cycling or other sports, unites shirt, waist, and skirt, with white piqué being utilized in this instance without any trimming of any kind. And it looks on the right we have a very similar outfit also meant for biking because it seems like you're having a conversation near the bicycle, and this is a skirt and shirt waist where the skirt is in blue cheviot and the shirt waist is a tan linen. And now we get to the bathing costumes. It's another outfit that I like to kind of track and see how it changes over the years. I believe last month we had some bathing costumes from the 1890s, and it doesn't seem to me like the general structure of the bathing suit has changed, but you can see the more Edwardian influences on the styles and designs. Then we move past some stories, some exercises to make you look younger, and we get to the sections that are always a highlight for me, the fibercraft sections. In this book we have a child's first stocking in a knitting pattern for that, as well as 2 pages later we have a hand crochet vest pattern. The vest pattern is pretty simple, but it's the embellishments that are done on top of it that really make this one stand out. So you have a detail of the work where you kind of had these stars polka dotted all over your vest, and then at the edges you have this wonderful little scallop shaped detail work that you've embroidered on top of it. And of course you have a advertisement on the top left here where you can learn to knit for free from Golden Fleece Yarns. And then in this magazine there are definitely more ads scattered throughout. An advertisement here for a standard porcelain enameled bath and one-piece lavatories, and it looks like someone is either getting ready for bed or getting ready in the morning at the sink. And then we round off this particular magazine with methods of measuring for patterns. This scale here with the bust, waist, and hip measures shows what regular proportions are. Oh, interesting. Okay, so these are the regular proportions of bust, waist, hip. If you have a 36 bust, it's expected you have a 26-inch waist and a 43.5-inch hip. If you have a 48-inch bust, it's expected you have a 38-inch waist and a 61.5-inch hip. Of course, this is not unclothed. They're measuring over these paddings that you have on because they're measuring over the lady's garment, and that includes, waist reduction measures in your corset, hip padding, bust forms. So basically what you are trying to pad out in order to make it fit that silhouette. There was an advertisement earlier for a bust distender. If you make your bust look larger, you don't have to change anything on your waist, because if you have a larger bust, your waist looks smaller. This is fascinating, at least for me, based on the advertisements that I see and the way that they speak about it. It's not expecting that your body is that shape, but that you are buying undergarments to pad out different areas of your body to make it fit that shape. In any case, I believe that that is it for June. We went all the way from 1863 and then skipped ahead a few decades and really focused on 12 years between 1892 and 1904. Really like the focus and emphasis on athletic wear. And before I leave you, I am going to select one of the fiber crafts in here to try out. After leafing through the magazines again, I decided to go back to June of 1892, and I wanted to try out this lovely knitting pattern for fascinators, shawls, clouds, etc. It seems simple. I like the detailed drawing, and I wanted to see how closely my version could come to the detailed drawing. So it says to first cast on an even number of stitches. So I'm going to cast on 10, 9, and 10. Oh, and in case you want to replicate this in some way, I'm using alpaca cloud yarn. I'll leave links down in the description, and a 4mm needle. So we're going to first knit plain Second row, slip one, knit one, yarn over, knit 3 together. We're just gonna continue to yarn over and knit 3 together. Knit the last stitch. Okay, maybe the even number cast on wasn't exactly correct, so we're gonna go down to 9 stitches. I think that makes a little bit more sense for what we're working. Okay, now third row, knit 2. That takes us back to the yarn over, and we're gonna knit 1, purl 1, knit 1. Interesting. So I think we're gonna do 3 within the 1 yarn over. Knit 1, and knit 1. Don't know if I got that. Okay, how many stitches do I have? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. Whoops, I increased. So that wasn't correct. No. I'm gonna start over. I honestly picked this pattern because I thought it would be relatively easy, but this is challenging. I'm gonna cast on 10 again. I'm gonna do 2 rows plain to give myself a little bit better start. And knit the last stitch. I have 2 because I cast on 10. It just says knit the last stitch, so I'm just going to knit these 2 as if it were 1. So the original cast on number wouldn't be 10 but 9, which is not even, so that's a little confusing. Now the third row. Knit 2, knit 1 out of the put over thread, purl 1 and knit 1. So I'm thinking that I'm going to purl and knit 1 in this next one, which according to the illustration seems right. Purl 1, knit 1, and I'm doing that in the previous rows where I knit 3 together. So I'm doing that in that one. And then repeat 4th, 5th, and 6th rows, knit plain. And I'm going to repeat and see if we get the same pattern at some point as this illustration here. I have done 2 more repeats of the pattern as I understand it. It is a bit confusing, but I do think I have it down right. It is a very lovely pattern that I can definitely see would be really nice and airy and kind of squishy for a shawl or a scarf of some kind. We tried out this pattern and I think it went okay. Honestly, I thought that this would be really straightforward and maybe even too easy for me to try as a part of this, but it turns out it was a lot more complicated than I thought. Thank you so much for joining me for another read-through of my Victorian magazines. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, feel free to leave a like. If you enjoy vintage and historical fiber crafts, please feel free to subscribe as I will be releasing more videos like this in the future. Thank you again for watching, and I'll hopefully see you very, very soon. Bye!